Hey, welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Your Miami Heat, they lose to the Orlando Magic today in preseason action. 0-4 for the Heat in preseason action, while the Magic are unbeaten at 3-0. Miami loses 120-104 today. We'll put some things in context for it. For starters, 70% of the team was out. I mean, that was for one. There was no Jović. We know no Hero, no Rozier. Bam was there. He didn't play. Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins did not play. All resting. There's a back-to-back that he play the Orlando Magic tomorrow. Simone Fontecchio did not play. Drew Smith didn't play. And Kasparas Jakučionis played 4 minutes before leaving with a hip injury. So, of the regulars who may see minutes today, you had Kel'el Ware, Pelle Larsson, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Davion Mitchell, and then whatever we're going to get out of Keshad Johnson this year, who obviously, he did not play well today. He did not play well. Not really a lot to write home about for anybody who wasn't Kel'el Ware today, to be honest with you. And even Kel'el Ware, his night, fantastic. He really looked great, and that is the Aller. But even his night kind of ended on a stinker because the Magic just absolutely kicked the snot out of the Heat in the second half of this game, especially in second chance points. You knew in a matchup like this, just like it was in the first game, regulars or not regulars, that you got to get rebounds against the Orlando Magic. They're tall. They still got Batatse out there. They got Wendell Carter. They got Jonathan Isaac. They got a lot of guys who are scrappy all over the place. Then you got people flying around like Anthony Black and Jace Richardson. And they were just making the extra efforts. They were keeping possessions going. And then even when possessions died, you can't have turnovers that lead to slam dunks. And that's kind of how Kelel's night ended. Which was overall a fantastic individual night for him, and that was not just empty calories. I mean, he was really the only offensive spark Miami had tonight. Everybody else really, really rough. Jaime had some moments for sure. Like, he's had a pretty solid preseason. The back and forth between him and Franz Wagner was an interesting dynamic. I think both of them had their moments. For sure. Franz Wagner, did get to the free throw line a ton today, but yeah, Jaime looks solid, but everybody else, it was a tough watch, dude. It was a tough watch. There's no mincing words there, but on the good end of it, Ware continues to just look like an absolute specimen. I mean, we are seeing stuff from him offensively that is just really, really, really fun. And especially in the first half of this game when it was a game, you got to see a lot of it. He was giving Jonathan Isaac the business tonight, and it's not quite the sexy matchup that Victor Wembanyama is, but this is a guy, he's one of their solid rotation guys. Lost a little bit of weight to try and make himself a little bit more fleet of foot. They love what he brings to the table defensively. And man, Kelel was just giving it to him. Just possession after possession, few and ones on him, was just couldn't physically hang with where could Isaac. So that was something that was really enjoyable to see when it came to Kelel Ware. He had a great finish over him individually. Then he got a beautiful block that led to a Jaime Jaquez bucket. He's been knocking down the three-pointer in this preseason. That's been a fascinating thing to see. I've only been boots on the ground. I'll be there on Wednesday for the scrimmage. I'm calling that on QAM with Solana and Tommy Tig, but it looks like it's a little bit of a quicker release for him. He just looks very, very comfortable shooting the three ball right now. Doesn't seem to matter what situation it is. So, I don't know if you want a ton of them. You still want Kelel dominating the paint, but it was a nice mix of it today. He ultimately finishes with 24 points. He was 9-17 from the floor, 2 of 4 from downtown, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 turnover. That critical turnover at the end of his stint. He did this all in 24 minutes. So a very, very efficient night for Kelel Ware, which definitely stood out above the rest. Pelle Larsson had a very helter-skelter night tonight. Like, the fouls were a problem. He only played 20 minutes. He had 5 fouls. He had 4 of them in the first half. Played a lot better in the second half, kind of just got to his game of being aggressive and throwing his body all over the place. Hit a couple of threes tonight, but also turned the ball over 4 times. So it was a very Jekyll and Hyde night for Pelle Larsson. And then his Arizona compadre, Keshad Johnson. Look, I've certainly pumped the tires on Keshad Johnson and how excited I am for his upcoming season. I really like Keshad as a guy. This guy is he seems like a rock solid person in the locker room and all that stuff that he brings. And I was hopeful that this guy was going to find himself in some situational stuff this year to bring defensive tenacity and all that. And look, Spo's going to look at this and he's going to be like, hey, I think he was the lone guy today who was a plus other than Gabe Madsen. So, and Gabe Madsen came in like when the game was over. So he was the only guy who was a plus on the floor. So Spo will probably look at that. But the 3-point shot looks, the shot's just broken right now. Like, he's just not in a rut. He doesn't look confident taking them. 3 balls wide open, and then missing a lot of free throws as well. Like, got to the free throw line a good handful of times, but every single time there was a miss there. And then there was his best play was a transition bucket and one off of a Myron Gardner chase down block, and he couldn't convert the 3-point play there. So, a lot of meat on the bone for Keshad Johnson, and the Arizona guys tonight, a bit of a weird night for sure. And then the other bad news that came out of today was Kasparas Jakučionis ends up getting hurt. He has a hip injury, so we'll see what happens there. But obviously not great. He just got back. The only thing that we really got from him was a sick-ass alley-oop to Kel'el Ware, just throwing it up to the sky. Miami couldn't shoot a lick tonight. They finished the night 9 of 33 from downtown. They shot 38% overall. Both teams just really rough nights. 39% for Orlando, the big difference. Free throws, they hit 8 more than Miami. They were 33 of 38. They hit 4 more threes than Miami. And then the second chance points was really where things swung in the second half of this game. It's 29-21, but a lot of that, like, once it really, like, the Heat, it separated on that stuff. Just offensive rebounds, giving those up, those second chance points to Orlando was an absolute killer today. They got out rebounded 60-41. Orlando had 23 offensive rebounds. So just giving them chance after chance after chance in this game. No matter who's out there, that's not going to stand for the Heat. So that was unenjoyable to see. Preseason Achiuwa had an interesting night tonight. I think that he showed some good rebounding ability. That is one of those things where you have to break glass in case. He did give you tonight 18 minutes, gave you 7 points, 8 rebounds. Not a guy with a ton of touch, like he airballed a runner, but I think that energy that Spo's looking for to bring what he can bring, there's something there. There is one interesting thing that is pointed out. Vladislav Goldin, who has one of the Heat's 2-way deals, he's getting very little run in the preseason, which I find odd. I don't know if he's come into the preseason and I don't know if the Heat are like trying to hide him. I don't know if the Heat are trying to develop him, but it's been very noticeable that he didn't play tonight on a coach's decision. I don't know what I'm not waiting for Spo's press conference after a preseason game, guys, so sorry. Guess I'll have more info on that tomorrow. But that's weird. I would have figured that he's going to get some time. Like, before they signed Precious, like, they were going to go to the games, you would think, with Vlad Goldin getting some chances to get some touches in. It's either been really late in garbage time. Now, some of that is they've been playing a lot of Kel'el Ware. So there's that. But today seemed like an opportunity. You would have seen him like in the full fourth quarter, and they put in Dane Danger. So that's an interesting thing. Now, mind you, they do have a back-to-back. They could play him a lot tomorrow. But yeah, man, outside of Ware tonight, it was not an enjoyable watch for the Heat fan. Now, the good news on the Kel'el Ware thing is he was a really enjoyable watch. And I think that you have to be really pleased with the way Ware has not only responded, but the things that he's developed on. You know, look, just because Eric Spoelstra called Kel'el Ware out does not mean he hasn't worked on things and hasn't developed anywhere either. Like Alonzo Mourning, I put this clip up on my Instagram and TikTok page from our media day interview, but Alonzo Mourning had said like, hey, Kel'el Ware was in the gym a lot this summer. He saw him there a lot, and he's not exactly one to bullshit. You know, Zoe's not going to go just giving around credit willy-nilly. And he said like, hey, Kel'el's been in the gym a lot. And that he has put on weight and he has put on strength. And he did look on some of the guys, whether it be Patatse or whether that be Isaac today. He did look a lot more physically intimidating on something. It's just about, you know, keeping that engine going the whole time. I think it was just what happened there at the end. He's got to carry that a little bit with leadership, and he is young. So maybe you just don't realize the gravity of that situation. Not that they would have won anyway. I mean, when that happened, it made it a 12-point game. You know, it was a tough sequence. You know, they were still he gets that rebound, they're down 10, they go and they can make it a single-digit game instead it becomes a 12. So I could see why it hung in the balance. You could see Malik Allen talking to Kel'el afterwards, but I look, I don't want to do every one of these things where we got to be so tough on Kel'el every single game. He overall kicked ass today. That was a rough way for the game to end. He got a, you know, but you know, he also, in a game that was slipping away, like got the and one to kind of even make it close. He also, you know, got a big rebound, gave it to Jameer Young, who tried to get a bucket over to Patatse. You know, should he have gone in maybe into the paint instead of sticking down into the three? Maybe. But, I mean, you know, I think overall, Kel'el's game was an 8 out of 10 today. He was really, really impressive. The Heat, everybody else just kind of stunk to high heaven. They really were impressive. I thought Jaime, we're seeing some good stuff. He's aggressive. He's going to the paint. The Heat didn't play him in the second half of this game, which was interesting. I don't know if that's, again, they do have a back-to-back tomorrow, so that could lean into it. And then the other thing is Davion Mitchell. We haven't really mentioned him. Davion Mitchell debuted today. Only played 10 minutes, so they were, you know, kind of giving him a little spin around the block of some stuff, but not really noticeable tonight, you know, so it definitely felt like he's getting his feet wet. And that's where you got to give Pelle some leeway too. Like Pelle's coming back from an injury, Davion just coming back from injury, and you know, so you give a little leeway to those guys, but you certainly would want more from Keshad. And then, you know, the rest of the guys, Myron Gardner, Jameer Young showed some moments tonight. I thought that he looked pretty decent. He ended up finishing with 18 points, 6 of 11, and that kind of speaks to the game that he had. He was pretty impressive at times. Gardner, his best play was probably that chase down block, but all these guys are, you know, kind of trying to find themselves with all of this stuff. Young did also have 4 turnovers today. Gardner had 2. So there's that to consider as well. And then, yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else like that really stood out from this matchup? I've got a couple things big picture wise on the Heat. Yeah, I think that's it. You know, nice games by Jace Richardson today. Nice games. Tristan Da Silva looked really impressive for Orlando. They got a good squad, man. And then we had like the old friends showdown with Orlando Robinson and Jamal Cain getting that revenge against the Heat at the end. So tomorrow they're playing the Hawks. Or if you're watching this on Monday, they play the Hawks again. I'd imagine we're going to get to see, this is going to be as much of a dress rehearsal as I would think, because they got that, and then they got the scrimmage on Wednesday, and then Friday is the last preseason game against the Grizzlies. So I'm going to guess that this is probably going to be the Heat's, I don't even want to say dress rehearsal because they don't have Nico. Nico's dealing with a back injury, which isn't great. I mean, that's something that he's had issues with the past, and he said he told reporters that he has kind of been dealing with it in camp, and that they were trying to avoid this, but this obviously flares up. Look, a guy who has had some durability issues, that's probably the most concerning one. The other ones have been like weird training incidents, like hurt the foot training in the offseason, broke his hand, weird thing in a fluke. But the back one is just like, all right. Don't feel awesome about that. And the interesting thing, to be fair, is like if he can't go, if Kelel has another awesome game tomorrow because Nico's not on this trip, does that open the door to Kelel winning the starting job? That's that. I think that is a fair question. We haven't seen him and Bam play together a ton, so I mean, I imagine tomorrow. I'd imagine we are gonna see that because I can't imagine Spo's gonna go Davion, Wiggins, Norman, Bam. Who would he go? Keshad? Like I don't know. I think if he does that, then I guess we have our answer. But I would be curious. You got Porzingis tomorrow, I'd imagine. I don't know if he's hurt or not. He is hurt a lot. But if he does go, there's definitely some length and size on that Hawks team that I would be curious about. But the Nico thing was a little bit like, all right. I didn't love hearing that. And this has sucked with the injuries. I mean, they've been, with Kaz going down, with Tyler being out, Davion just coming back, Pelle just coming back. And now we got the Nico thing to deal with. And the Heat, on the guard front, they're okay. They got depth there. The bigs, they don't. And so that one is concerning if this is something that's going to linger. It's not something that Nico seems very concerned about, at least based on the quotes. I wasn't there in person, so I don't know tone on that. But it's one of those things you're keeping an eye on a little bit. Keeping an eye on it with that. But all in all, pretty lousy game to watch tonight, but an awesome individual performance by Kelel, who continues to bounce back from Spo's words, not seem to take it too personally, and look like a guy who can be a physical force in this league. The guy, I mean, he's an extraterrestrial, dude. He's got, I mean, the block that he had, just like that big paw up there, the moves that he can have, the comfort that he has on some of these things, the one-on-one moves. It's enough to make you kind of forget the record of the last two games. I know people have been like, I don't care, they're losing games. All right. Calm down, Mr. Preseason. But I feel like his performance has been good enough that's made me forget about it. If they didn't, I mean, I'd be like, oh my God, this is the worst. Summer League sucked, and now this sucks. But Kelel has made it palatable. So, we'll see if they can put it all together. Maybe get a preseason win tomorrow with more of the regulars all involved in the game against the Hawks.